Hi, I'm Becky Meagher, and welcome to Transitions, Body, Mind, Spirit. Transitions. We all go through transitions in our life, and I like to use the metaphor of triathlons, something I've been doing for the past 13 years. And so first you jump in and you swim, and then you get in the transition area, and then you bicycle, and then you get to the next transition area, and then you run. And it's such a great metaphor for our life and what we do in the different parts of our lives. And one big part of our life is our health. And what about our gut, our intestines? Things that happen there. We have an expert colon hygienist. We have Scott Webb, who is our expert colon hygienist. Welcome, Scott.
Thank you.
And first of all, I'd like you to tell our people out there, what is a colon hygienist and what does that do?
Okay. Well, hello people out there. Well, a colon hygienist, there's probably multiple different types of approaches. I sort of am an accidental colon hygienist, so I don't really take a. Can I start over?
Go ahead, say.
Okay. Well, okay. So a colon hygienist would be addressing what's going on in the human body from the perspective of the colon.
Right.
And it's the idea that the colon would accumulate waste. Now that could also be a controversial statement. Like, doctors wouldn't necessarily say that that's true.
Okay.
Dr. Oz, for example, would say that the human body self-cleanses. So then colon hygiene, by putting water inside the colon, could be interpreted as invasive and not beneficial. So there's a lot of differing opinions about what it does for you.
But basically, you as a colon hygienist, and I do see Scott on a professional level, it is taking water, putting it in your colon and flushing out your colon, right? That's the simple, quick
Correct.
thing. But then there's reasons for that. And I know it could be controversial, but the reasons for that is to flush things, that waste in your body to make you more healthy.
Well, that's one way of putting it.
Okay.
People have a lot of different reasons. A lot of times they don't even understand why they're doing it. So then after they've done it, then they would understand more. So
what
it's
are the
a difficult
reasons?
thing to comprehend unless you've actually done it.
Okay, so give us the reasons. A typical person that comes to you says, I feel this, this, and this. How can you help me? And what do you do? And how does it help them?
Okay. Well, that's also a little bit of a tricky thing because, you know, the whole medical field is very touchy about people who are addressing health or illness. So they have very specific rules about what you can and can't say. So if someone said that they were constipated, I would have to be very respectful of medicine, really, to say, well, I'm not treating that. So you sort of have to dance around it a little bit to explain and educate for people to understand what's going on with their body and why it might be not functioning in a way that's pleasing to them.
Okay.
So my role is to educate people as quickly as possible, because a lot of times they're not going to come back. A lot of, people are just curious. So I've been in business for 14 years. I have one client who's been seeing me for 13 years, and she's been coming every week for 13 years.
Wow.
So she's 54 years old, completely healthy, on no medications.
Mm.
So I kind of have a long track record with some of my clients, and it actually impresses me the results that they get.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I stay in it and try to educate anybody really who wants to hear what I have to say about it.
Mm-hmm.
So I do have specific opinions.
Okay. Well, I know this is your first book, Inside Poop, and I guess we need to put it out there. Down and Dirty Secrets from America's Colonic Expert, Scott Webb. And we don't, particularly Americans, we don't talk about waste, poop. And I believe when I was reading part of your book, because we eat so many processed foods and foods that have insecticides and foods that can do bad things to our gut, and we have so many medicines that kill the bacteria. Isn't that, tell us about that.
Okay. Well, that's a huge topic, first of all.
Right.
So, once again, it can be very controversial. So, you know.
Well, we want to know your belief, what you're allowed to say. Just in general.
My belief is it's rather horrifying.
Okay.
I mean, our food supply in general. Now, I haven't always believed that way. My grandfather ate fast food, and he lived to be 90, and he was healthy most of his life. So I ate fast food. I didn't think there was a problem with it. And so I somewhat accidentally became a colon hygienist. And it was through that, seeing what was coming out of people, that really changed my ideas of what food was doing, you know, in between here, in between the stomach and when it comes out as what we would call poop.
Yeah. Well, tell us about that process. Nobody talks about that. What's going on in there? You eat it and it stays there for 10 days or 2 years or sticks in there or what?
Well, this book here is really fairly comprehensive as far as if you're getting my opinions, I tried to put them down in writing to explain that, because there's a tremendous amount of interactivity between the diet and how the body is relating to it. So when I began working in colon hygiene, I was shocked by the volume of fecal matter that was coming out of people. And so you just have to think it's a random selection of people coming in off the street, basically. And then you're sort of plugging them up and seeing what comes out. So that was shocking for me, that people were walking around so completely backed up. And so I just became curious, what's the cause of this? Because you know, you hear, well, you should be eating more fiber and whatnot. So people would be eating fiber, or maybe I might have a yoga instructor who's very conscious of their diet, his or her diet, and they still would have a tremendous amount of fecal matter come out. So,
and they were doing all the right things.
And
supposedly.
doing all the right things.
Yeah.
So I just went to the library. At the time I was homeschooling my son. We went to the library a lot. He'd go to his section and I'd go to the healthy section, and checked out a lot of books and just read. And so I'm kind of surprised that my particular take is not consistently, you know, in the media or.
And your take is what? That's what I'm trying to.
Okay. Well, constipation would originate with the human liver, not with the colon. So it's a series of dominoes that fall, beginning with the human liver.
The liver.
And the liver conducts approximately 1,500 metabolic activities So it's extremely intelligent. It's kind of a brain for
The
the body.
liver? I've never heard anybody
Well,
talk
it's
about the
basically
liver.
converting the food that you're eating
Right.
into workable vibrations or components, or because I'm on TV, I can't think of the exact words, but it, you know, if you ate a hot dog,
Right.
which you probably wouldn't, but
On occasion, yeah.
okay,
Two a year at least.
okay. So you chew up the hot dog, it goes into your stomach,
Right.
but how does it become a part of your body? That's really determined by the liver.
Okay.
And so the liver will secrete a bile, B-I-L-E, and that helps. Helps to metabolize fats.
Bile
So
from the liver.
bile from
Okay.
the liver, and that would convert, say, the hot dog, the chunks of the hot dog that you've chewed, into a melted goo that then your body could absorb through your small intestine. That then passes into your bloodstream, goes to your liver, and your liver really determines what will happen. So like for a computer, that would be data. The liver is actually converting the data of your food into you. So it's a very critical organ as far as you want to keep it healthy. And a lot of what the typical American is eating is actually plugging up the liver. So if the colon can become constipated, so can the liver. And that's pretty much what I advocate, is you want to keep your liver as healthy as possible. I worked with one man that had liver cancer, and his decline really was in his energy. And so, you know, he started out just breathing hard, and then he came in holding onto the walls, and then he had to have someone bring him in. And it made me to realize how important the liver is as far as energy. And what do we have in this country but a massive cultural deficiency in basic energy? You know, I mean, what's the big drink? Red Bull, the energy drinks.
That's supposed to give you energy, right?
Starbucks. It's
Right.
sort of simulating this, what I would call a crisis or epidemic of energy. And so what happens when the liver becomes exhausted, because it does, when you talk about the pesticides or whatnot, the various farming chemicals or preservatives or additives, and once you start to research that, it's astounding the volume of chemicals that are utilized in our food supply that the liver typically has to remove. And I won't go into the process of that, but it's a critical process of converting the oil-soluble chemicals in our diet to get them out of the body. Without being able to do that, the body is storing these oil-soluble chemicals, which is a huge amount. So anyway, the food lacking sufficient bile then is not metabolized properly and remains greasy. And the grease is a impairment to the assimilation of nutrition.
Okay.
So you can eat food, and with an exhausted liver, you won't be able to metabolize it to gain access to the nutrition. So you're hungry again because your cells have requirements, but you become sort of closed off to the nutrition of your food, if there is any nutrition
I
in
see.
it.
So you're saying it's the liver, but the liver is interrelated with the colon because you're cleaning out the colon, not cleaning out the liver, right?
Well, correct. So the digestive tract, the small intestine would be approximately 20 feet long. The colon would be 5 feet. So you've got basically 25 feet between the liver, where the liver, the gallbladder secretes bile, and the entire digestive process, 25 feet. And so the colon being the last stage of that, it matters what's happened to that previously for the colon to be able to remove that fecal matter. So if the digesting food is excessively greasy and high in volume because you haven't assimilated it, you've increased the food that's not assimilated, plus it's greasy.
Mm-hmm.
So that affects how it's processed by the colon.
Okay.
And so I get a little choked up because it's truly an epidemic that I see, because people's colons then are full.
People's
So
colons are what?
full.
Full.
So by removing that, then you're creating space.
Mm-hmm.
So if your colon is emptied,
Mm-hmm.
you're basically creating a hollow section in your body, and the rest of your body then will move everything down. So the small intestine would be backed up, including the liver. So it's not just the colon, but technically the colon is an external organ. So
How can that be? It's inside you, though.
well, you could put water in there and it's not going to kill you, but I don't think you could put water in your liver.
Oh, right, right.
Or even your small intestine. There's sort of, it's a different definition.
Mm-hmm.
So by cleaning the colon, it's really your only option to allow the rest of your body to cleanse.
Mm-hmm.
So what happened with me initially was clients were reporting, wow, my skin rash has cleared up, or they look differently.
Huh.
And so, you know, your face is different from where your poop comes out. There's a different end of your body. But why would their appearance change?
Didn't
It
you
was
say
baffling.
that the people who had dark circles, the dark circles disappeared, or?
I mean, they can.
Uh-huh.
So the face has a lot of lymphatic activity going on. And if a person backs up, they literally back up into their face.
Mm.
So you think of someone who's typically ill, they're swollen, they're maybe yellow, and so that's because of the fluids that literally are backing up.
Mm.
So the medical interpretation is very different. And so I'm not a medically trained, I'm not approaching this from medicine, I'm approaching this from hygiene and keeping the body clean. So when it comes to the body naturally self-cleansing, that would be true, say, for the American Indians. Or, you know, they're eating roots and bark and, you know, things the body that's not being impaired. Whereas we're eating like Big Macs and cheese nibs, or, you know, and it's a very different thing. And I would contend that the human body loses that ability to self-cleanse.
Ah.
But if you go to your doctor, he'll say, well, your body self-cleanses.
Okay.
But that would be accurate for the textbooks 50 years ago.
Right.
But now we're in a totally different environment. We're in a totally different food politic. And so, so everything is connected on that level and matters.
So if somebody wants to keep a better liver, colon, and it's about what they eat, is that what you're saying? What do they eat?
Well, I think it's more about having a strategy to undo what's been done to you. So if you're 20, you might have a different strategy than if you're 80. And that, you know, I would address in a book. It would be way too long to go into here.
Okay.
So it's not just diet. And, you know, you'll see a lot of like 20-somethings who've kind of branded themselves as a expert on diet. They look great. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you want to believe them that they know what they're talking about. But it's not going to get most people to go where they want to. In other words, you can't just change your diet alone. So there's other, what I would call leverage, and that would be one, essential fatty acid oils. that helps the liver to self-cleanse.
Okay, and that is, Udo's oil, is that's a brand name, or do you need fish oil? Is that what you're saying? What kind of oil is that you're speaking of?
Well, it would have a molecular structure that your body could utilize it to conduct repair or other, metabolic processes in the body that require fats, quality fats, which have been pretty much stripped out of the diet. So fish oil, flax, coconut, say a grass pastured animal, chicken, pig, cow, lamb.
Okay, grass pastured with no antibiotics given to them.
Right. It's hard for a lot of people to imagine that traditional or conventionally raised cow, for example, you're getting a hamburger, would be any different than grass-fed. But the studies actually show that the molecular structure of the fats are different. So an animal raised on antibiotics is producing a kind of a fat in its system that is measurably not the same. So you're not going to hear that. McDonald's, I'm loving it. That's all you get.
Right.
You don't know the molecular structure of where that food came from.
So on a practical level, how can one change your diet to do better things for your liver and therefore your colon? I think you gave me where's that little example? Here. Tell us about this and about the probiotic parts of your gut. Okay. What is this?
Okay. Well, this also is very underappreciated.
Okay, and this is?
Oh, this is kimchi that I made.
Kimchi. And kimchi is what?
Kimchi is it's a Korean ferment, and there's a traditional way to make it.
And this is cabbage?
That would be cabbage. This is things that I grew in my garden.
Okay, organic?
Garlic, organic, local. Ginger, which wouldn't be local. Hot peppers.
I can smell it.
Yes. Salt. So you can go online and you can learn how to make this at home. It's hard to find to buy. The reason why you want to pay attention to this is because the human body is not just flesh and bone, but an active vehicle for other forms of life, microscopic life.
Right.
So it's a beneficial relationship that we have with these bugs, organisms. And so, in the media you'll hear, oh, everyone's afraid of a superbug. What keeps those in check are the multiplicity, billions and trillions of bacteria that live in your body and on your skin and in your eyes and in your hair.
That's why
everywhere.
People are taking probiotics to get all the things going in your gut, right?
Right. What I see a lot is people will take probiotics and not realize that the food supply has antibiotic in it. So for example, you go to a fast food drive-through, you say, well, I'm going to get something healthy. I'm going to get a white meat chicken that was raised on antibiotics, sterilized with antibiotics. And then the salad itself has been preserved because it was made off-site.
Right.
It looks fresh.
Right.
So they've preserved it with chlorines. When you consume that, then it impairs the bacterial activity to break down the food in your system. So you take a probiotic and then you eat a salad from a fast food place, it's a net loss. So there's a lot of confusion out there, and that's why I've written about it. Like the conspiracy theory diet is basically to say there's a lot of conspiracy around food. And I just address it to say, it's probably accurate,
Well, we have a couple more minutes. I'm still trying to tell the audience out there that have never heard of someone that helps your colon get down to the basics of how that's going to help them. Basically, we're talking about cleansing and getting rid of things that might be stuck in there, and it can change their life. Are you allowed to say that, or you can't say that?
I mean, you can say it.
Okay, all right.
But I would say it too. I
Uh-huh.
mean, that was what was shocking to me, was I just thought it was...
So much stuff and people, then you
yeah,
go
and then
wonder
working
why.
with people for years and really seeing a lot of transformation. We talk about the transitions, transformation.
Right.
So I'm a believer just by seeing and by knowing people, and for myself or my family or my friends.
You've seen how having colonic work has changed their life into becoming better.
Well, I for one, 57 years old. I've gone to workout, boot camp. I haven't been injured once. I used to have to go to the chiropractor, sorry, every couple of weeks. I haven't been to the chiropractor in probably 10 years.
Wow.
I haven't been to a doctor in 14 years. I have no symptoms of illness.
Great.
And so it's really a learning process, which is what I strongly recommend. It's not really about cleaning your colon as much as learning how your body works and working with it. And so if you have constraints in certain areas, you learn how to overcome those. That's really what it's about.
Okay. Well, I know that I can say that I have seen you professionally, and it has really helped clear things in my own body, and in my I'm athletic, and it's really helped me athletic-wise, which is kind of a strange thing. And I've incorporated a lot of what you've told me about of things that will help the gut, whether it be the Udo oil or the goat, unfermented goat milk.
Unpasteurized.
Unpasteurized, that's it, which was never even on my radar.
Which also you can't say you actually consume.
Oh, right, I know, because it really says for your pet. But you do have a website, right? Okay, and we're going to put the website on our credits. And through that website, if they want to get one of your books, The Conspiracy Theory, this is the brand new one, right?
Correct.
Okay, or the...
Also, I had told you earlier, there might be 10 copies with that
this
cover.
This is the old version of the first book, I think you put.
Literally like 10 copies were printed.
Okay.
So I don't even know how you found that. But a lot of colon hygienists do sell the book. So they wouldn't recognize that book if they happen to see this.
All right, but the content is good.
The content's the same.
Yes. All right, well, Scott Webb, thank you very much for being on Transitions. Thank you very much. Transitions, Body, Mind, Spirit. Great.